There is a fifth dimension.
A dimension of sound.
Damn it, Frank! We tell him to be quiet. I spilled my hot cup of Uranus again.
A dimension of sight.
Hey, Arch. I'm gonna sock you in the puss.
A dimension of mind.
Nan Adams, is that you?
Next stop, the Twilight Zone.
It
I
might
don't
just
love
have like
Commando.
30 seconds added to it, but I don't care. What do you mean? You what?
Anyways, let's continue.
What did you say? No.
Is
I
it
didn't say
like the
anything.
director's cut of Rocky IV where all they do is cut the robot out?
He said he doesn't love Commando.
I don't know what you're talking about. I would never say that.
How can you not at least like Commando? Hey, Benny.
I don't know, but this is the beginning of the episode, so people are gonna be like, "Oh, I'm out of this podcast." Everybody quits on me at once. The only person talking is myself because Raymond and Jacob and Trevor are like, "You don't like Commando? Get the fuck out of here!" I quit. Anyways, well, what's going on, everyone? That was an interesting conversation we just had. But welcome to the Twilight Zone of Fifth Dimension. This is the second take of this because somebody forgot to put up their green screen. It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
It was not because we get canceled for all the shit we were just saying.
That's true. No, I would get canceled. You guys would be fine because you guys would disown like the fact that you were on the episode. But
Can't cancel someone without a career.
yeah,
Same.
exactly. Anyways, I'm here. I'm back after a week off. I had some family issues, so I do appreciate Jacob and Triv and Raymond here, who's back with us again for coming on. It was it's not been a very good month, to be fairly honest. So I appreciate them taking over, especially you, Triv, who disowns herself from like saying she's good at doing hosting, which I disagree with. It was actually really quite good. So stop doing that to yourself, Triv. Stop doing that to yourself.
I
Hello,
literally
Triv. How you
herd
doing?
my own cats. You guys did great. I'm just a cat herder of my own herd of cats.
That was like forever.
You honestly doing a good job of hurting the cats. So
That was forever ago.
You hurt cats?
I was.
I do herd cats.
Do you pound them?
No, that's you.
I'm pretty good at pounding pussy myself.
Yeah, I did. Saw where that was. Thanks.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I couldn't even hold that in.
Well, the real
Oh.
question is, Triv, do you milk your own cats?
No, I do not do. I don't milk my cats, even though they have nipples.
Exactly.
I'm not gonna milk you either. Any of you.
Milk my dog.
No.
They got lots of nipples. You like.
As long as you don't red rocket them, they'll be just fine. So.
Oh God.
Okay,
So,
we got
a very
intro
famous
next.
Twilight Zone episode
Hey,
that stars
PA,
Shatner.
we are 130 whatever episodes in or whatever. People don't know what we are by now. They have quit by now. So
They may have
I
only
say
watched
whatever.
Would you try to milk Shatner there, Nick?
I mean, he is a pretty sexy guy in these episodes. So I mean, who knows? But
It's a good episode with John Lithgow in it.
hey, I will defend this episode. It sounds like you guys won't, but I think this is a pretty damn good episode.
We haven't
but
said anything about it.
I see how this is going to play out.
Episode that
I'm
when I
alone
tell
for-
people I'm on this show talking about Twilight Zone, they're like, "Oh yeah, William Shatner was on that, right?" And this
He's on a
is
couple times.
they don't know that though, but this is the episode
This is his second appearance.
they're talking about. If
Yeah.
you tell someone, "Hey, what's a Twilight Zone episode?" You know, this is probably going to be the first one that comes to most people's mind, unless they're a Twilight Zone fan. There's
Well,
someone
that or
just saw it
the
in passing.
Eye of the
This is probably
Beholder.
it.
Or no,
Yeah.
the Time Enough at Last is
Enough at-
most
yeah.
of the
Time
people.
enough of that.
I was gonna
Eye
say
of the Beholder
Futurama.
I saw in high school. I had already been a Twilight Zone fan, but that's the episode they showed us was just to show us what the show was. And so yeah, they're like the 3 episodes people are going to mention. This is like
You guys went to cooler schools than me.
I didn't see
I'm,
this
like, showing
until
you guys like Twilight Zone and shit.
9th
mean,
grade
I hear
Halloween.
Advertisements and
No.
Halloween Halloween
ed.
event to watch this.
we didn't even
instead
get
of
the sexy
having
Romeo and
class.
Juliet. We had to watch
Oh,
the
we
dumb
did
one.
same class.
we had like the play that was recorded. We saw that, like The Boy Who Could Fly.
Same class, same
PSAs.
teacher, Mr. Fabian, 9th grade English.
Fucking
I mean,
Sexy
genital
Romeo and
warts
Juliet,
sex ed.
and Eye of the Beholder, same teacher.
To be fair,
Yeah,
they
I
were
think-
showing me like fucking Ralph on the motorcycle, that mouse on the motorcycle, or whatever that nonsense
Yeah.
was.
Ralph the Mouse. Yeah, he was the mouse.
Yeah.
My brother's
I mean,
name is
that's the kind of
Ralph,
stuff
so I've
Kiki
always loved that story.
It feels
Ferret.
like they started not caring and just showing us random movies as like people started graduating. Like when you were graduating, Jacob, like that's when they stopped caring and stopped putting like good movies. Or they just started showing people movies. You know, it just I don't know. It's very weird, but
Well,
like they
VHS
stopped.
weren't $3,000 anymore.
It's true.
That's true. Anyways, let's get
In the
off.
70s.
Okay, so
Nowadays.
here today,
Oh, Trev
Raymond.
just
Once again, thank you for
stood
coming
up.
back
Oh,
on
sorry.
short notice.
Sorry.
Trev's turning into a
Giraffe.
giraffe. Raymond, once again, thank you for coming on short notice. I know once again, I kind of asked you last minute to come on, and I appreciate it. We had some things because of my scheduling and stuff like that, so I appreciate it. But anyways, we're here to talk a very classic episode of the Twilight Zone, or considered one of the greatest episodes of the Twilight Zone. That, of course, is season 5, episode 3, which is called Nightmare at 20,000 Feet. This is the first episode ever directed by the well-known, very beloved director that is Richard Donner, which I actually was
I saw
really,
that.
when I first learned that he directed Twilight Zone, I was, one, I forgot how old he was when he died, and two, I didn't even realize Richard Donner was part of the Twilight Zone, which is kind of crazy. Because Richard
Yeah.
Donner, of course, known for Lethal Weapon, and of course known for what was that conspiracy theory movie? Is it called Conspiracy Theory? The one with Mel Gibson.
He made
Probably.
you believe a man could fly.
Yeah, he made you. Yeah, he
He
got an
made it say-
entanglement with the Batman. He made you think Batman can fly, or
Didn't he
was,
have
or was
the stake? Did he
it was
make
it
that?
Wolverine?
Was that the one he made? Oh no,
Was it
the
Wolverine?
conversation. No, not, I know with
What-
Gene Hackman. No,
No, anyways. Richard Donner's made a lot of shit. He Lady Hawk, The
Conspiracy
Goonies,
Theory is the name of the movie.
oh
Really?
yeah, the newer.
Toy.
It's a newer movie. Yeah.
97.
Oh, new to
Um,
me in the '90s. I still call
he,
those.
he directed, of course, the classics Assassin and Radio Flyer.
Radio
16 Blocks,
Flyer is a
Timeline.
good movie.
Radio Flyer-
Radio Flyer is
So
fucking
Elijah
depressing.
Wood.
Yeah.
Radio Flyer is fucking depressing.
It
Did they
is.
die?
sorry.
Did he die in the end? That's the question.
Yeah. Anyways, he directed Assassins,
Unknown.
the Wachowski siblings written movie.
Assassins with
Yeah,
Stallone and Banderas.
Yeah. and Julianne Moore. Yeah, that movie. Anyways, Richard Donner, famous director, also did some Tales from the Crypt episodes. I think he was a producer on that series. Omen, directed by the
Got
Omen.
those two.
It's written by Richard Matheson, of course, based on a short story he did called Fear of Flying. Or no, it was a vulture. Anyways, it's written by Richard Matheson, who of course has written a ton of episodes of the Twilight Zone. Production code 2605, air date October 11th, 1963. 25 minutes without commercials, apparently. Stars, of course, William Shatner, Christine White, and Edward Kemmer. Then Nick Cravat played the gremlin. So this episode has quite the history. Not only is it a classic Twilight Zone episode, but it is also a segment of the Twilight Zone movie, which is the only segment we've actually talked about that is disowned by George Miller because of what John Landis did in the movie itself. So George Miller refuses to talk about that. I've heard some interesting things when people try to bring it up. He is very confrontational with it, which
Which I
makes a
don't
lot of
get,
sense.
because that Landis is
Well,
didn't
but
they direct
because of
them all
what-
kind of like separate movies?
Well, they did, but you got to remember because of what like George Miller and even Spielberg, they distanced themselves from the Twilight Zone movie because
Well, yeah,
Landis
I
got
can see that.
Landis and Spielberg like don't talk to each other anymore because of that incident. You know, after because they were in like Blues Brothers and stuff like that, and George Miller, who once again directed like the hell out of that version of the Twilight Zone movie, he refused to finish it. Actually, I think Joe Dante had to finish that Nightmare on 30,000 Feet segment because of what he did.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
And yeah. But anyways, Richard Donner, once again, famous director, passed away just a few years ago. So, very sad. But let's talk about Nightmare on 20,000 Feet. It's an episode I'm sure, even if you like Jacob, I know you haven't seen these show episodes for a long time. Triv and Raymond, you may have not seen this for quite a while or whatever. I'm pretty sure you guys knew exactly what we were going into, what we were getting ourselves into. It's pretty self-explanatory. Like, what do you guys think about this episode? Like, how do you remember it pretty well? What do you think? I'll start with you, Triv.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. I think I was looking up on like the Wikipedia on it, and it's about as spoofed and parodied as Time Enough at Last. But I think
Jacob
it feels
Treehouse of
a
Horror.
figure
Motherfucker.
and Futurama.
One of the best.
Yeah,
Futurama too.
Futurama's of it is great. But yeah, I think the one thing that separates this from Time Enough at Last, as far as the parodies go, I think this feels more. I don't know. It doesn't feel as goofy as what they do with Time Enough at Last. Like it feels
I
more
think it's
put
tight.
together.
It's like tightly paced, and
It's
it,
tight
it
like
feels.
Tiger.
Yeah. Anyway, I gotta bring up one thing real quick. Jacob, I know you hate me talking about the Treehouse of Horror
Oh, here we
episodes,
go.
but no.
Hate it.
So the episode is Nightmare at 5.5 speed or whatever. There is a moment when Bart goes up to Otto, which is the bus driver, and he goes, "Otto, there's a gremlin on the side of the bus," and Otto goes, "I'm going to take care of it." And there's a guy named Hans Molman who's driving a gremlin, and he knocks the gremlin off the side of the road, and it like doesn't hit a tree, then it explodes into flames. It's like one of the
I
greatest
will-
jokes in Simpson history. I'm
I
sorry.
will
Driving it,
also
Toons is the
add-
cat.
What's that?
Said who's driving the gremlin? Toons is the cat. Just takes
No,
off the
Hans
clothes?
Molman.
Am I the only one who got that joke?
No,
Yeah,
I got it. I
I-
will also add, so the other, you talk about really awesome parodies. There's one, if you ever remember Johnny Bravo, it's a cartoon from Cartoon
Yeah,
Network
yeah.
back in the 90s. It's called The Man That Cried Clown, and Johnny Bravo notices a clown on the wing of the plane, and then the twist ending, he realizes that there's supposed to be a clown on the other wing, so they dress up Johnny Bravo like a clown so they can keep the wings even. It's a hilarious
great.
episode. It was, I think, my first exposure to Twilight, like that Twilight Zone
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah,
mean, that
I'm
tale-
pulling up the spoofed in list, and
that
spoofed
Treehouse of Horror
as
is
the
a
Man Who Cried Clown is in Ace Ventura. He sees a person on the wing. Bridesmaids, they have a person on the wing. Transformers, Key and Peele.
Bridesmaids. I don't remember that in Bridesmaids.
They make one of the characters says, "I just saw a colonial woman on the plane wing."
Oh yeah, I was like, when did they see it? Then I forget. That's the one she gets drunk. Kristen Wiig gets drunk. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so parodied at this point that people will actually forget that it's Twilight Zone, which kind of sucks because like that's where it originated. It's. I'll go to you, either Jacob or Raymond. Like, what is your history with this episode? And leaving the movie version out of it, like, did you find yourself enjoying this episode? Because, like I said, I think it's a really well done, tightly packed episode for 25 minutes. But like I said, the costume is not great, to be fairly honest. So
To answer your
nope,
question,
there you go.
anyways, like I said, when I've talked to people and tell them it's the Twilight Zone, they're like, "Oh yeah, William Shatner was on that plane episode, right?" Like this is like one of the episodes people talk about. Even people that, if they're in their 40s, 50s, they know this episode, even if they barely know what Twilight Zone is, or they didn't sit there and watch 40 hours of a 48-hour marathon on January 1st and July 4th, like we all did. Like they still know this episode, and so it has the staying power in that, and I think that's an important thing for the show, that it has these staple episodes.
Absolutely.
A staple. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Triv was about to agree with me and tell me how great.
No, not at all. I'm just gonna say that Shatner also did a movie in the 80s or 90s called The Horror at 37,000 feet. Kind of it's not the same thing as this, but it's also a plane movie where shit goes down like high up. And I'm sure the naming convention probably came from a variation on that. Jacob is looking off into the distance. He's got 1,000-mile stare.
Is it my turn?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yeah. I was aware of this episode. I've seen this episode. I'm more familiar with. I remember the episode. I mean, obviously, I know what happens in it. I didn't remember every single beat. I just knew William Shatner in the plane, and I've seen it more than once. It's been a long time. But I'm more familiar, like intimately familiar with the movie version. I mean, that came out when I saw that a lot when I was a kid. Twilight Zone the movie, I saw that a lot. I really like that movie. Came out when I was like 3 or 4, so I probably saw that before I saw this episode. So much like the Corn Maze episode, I have a So differentiating the two is
I think that's fair.
a challenge.
Yeah, I'll be honest too. I like this is more familiar with the Twilight Zone movie because I've watched the Twilight Zone movie way more than I've watched the TV show. And I'm with Triv. I didn't see the Twilight Zone until probably till I was 25, 30, somewhere around there.
Well,
Yeah, I saw the Twilight Zone.
I saw it when I was a kid. I just think I saw the movie more, and I saw
Yeah.
it when I didn't like sit down and watch all of the Twilight Zone until I was older. But I mean, I saw episodes here or there. They were syndicated back in my day, so I'd see them here or there. And this, I'm pretty sure this episode, because I do remember this. I don't know about the first time I saw the movie, but I was aware at one point, at least while watching the movie as a kid, that this was based on an actual episode from the black and white Twilight Zone. So I like this episode, and I like the George Miller version, but they are like the same story, but different tones. Not
Yeah,
tones.
one's much more darker and one's much more like fucked up, I guess.
Well, one of them's more frantic. George Miller's is like very, very George Miller. Like I see them at, like, extreme close-ups and like from the jump of the George Miller one. I don't want to jump into it too much as of yet, but from the movie version, he is like flipping the fuck out on that plane it is very much more high
It's
energy.
very
the whole
sweaty.
time. Yeah, it starts out from what I remember. He's just going like popping pills and everything, and like the whole time is like it's like anxiety inducing. This one was much more, and I was kind of sort of, even though I've seen this one, expecting that same kind of tone and feel. But this one was much more like he was much more chill. And I kind of like that. Even like when
it is William Shatner, so you're expecting him to be over the top.
Yeah, he doesn't Shatner this.
But he's almost apologetic that he's having this happen to him.
Yeah,
well, you got to remember, like even in the Nick of Time episode, Shatner didn't really become Shatner until I mean, Shatner's always been Shatner, but he didn't really become Shatner until probably Star Trek. To be fairly honest,
I feel like he kind of fell into
apologetic that he's causing a problem
normal.
Because he doesn't know he had a problem in the past, and he doesn't know. He's gone through a lot of therapy, and he feels like he's putting it upon other people instead of like the Lithgow of holy shit, there's a monster, oh my god.
Yeah, like, and that was the difference too, because like Lithgow in the movie, you just get the idea. Now, granted, they went about it in two different ways. Like the show kind of gives you backstory and explains why he's nervous about being on this plane. The Lithgow one, you just get there and you know, oh, this guy don't like flying. He's just nervous about flying. And I think that was like enough of a thing that people just understood it. And that works. But like his was more just some dude who didn't like flying, who saw something on the side of a plane and he freaked out. This one, I like the dynamic of how like he had a mental break. He's leaving an insane asylum. So like not only is like the Lithgow one, it was never a question for him, am I seeing this thing? I feel like in Shatner and his performance, he was like questioning, am I seeing this or am I just fucking crazy? I mean, I did just get out of an insane asylum. I mean, now I will say that they're like, hey, the doctor wouldn't let you go. And they make it sound like the only way to get home was to fly. They had roads and cars back then too.
Yeah, but they didn't have AC. They barely had a radio. Come on. They should at least planes they could smoke. I mean, at least some planes that go fast and have smoke.
You know what kills me is the fact that it was a nice plane. Like it's like that would have been a nice flying experience outside of, you know, everything that happens later on.
I did find it odd that since he had it mentions that his original freakout was on a plane, but it was more just a overall. I think the breakdown was going to happen anyway. It just happened to happen on a plane. But clearly, you know, plane, there's some bad history there. So the first thing we do when we let him out of this mental institution, he's been there for 6 fucking months because he had a breakdown on a plane, is put him on another fucking plane. I'm like, if there wasn't another viable option, like, you know, cars, trains, buses, I'd say, okay, that makes sense. But planes were, I would say, not even the major mode of transportation of the day. So,
no.
I mean, we wouldn't have an episode.
His wife flew out to pick him up, and he wants to, like, show that he's okay, because he truly believes he's okay now.
That's kind of pushing it. I feel like
I know. I agree.
But think about the time
I'm
and place.
trying to like
Look at the time and
make it
place,
make sense.
right? Though, like when you because that's a pretty major, considering then, quote, weakness. You were so whatever that you had to go away and find this thing. The very first thing that you're going to want to do as an upright, red-blooded American citizen
Man.
is,
Man, just say
show
man,
show
sir.
that
We
show
know you
that
mean
you're
man.
right. Show that you can be okay. That you're no
Fly
longer
that
what.
motherfucking
Your
plane.
your woman just flew across the country to pick you up from a mental institution, and you're gonna be like, sorry, honey, we gotta take a bus 3 days home because I'm afraid to
'Cause I'm
fly.
a pussy.
Because I'm a pussy.
It worked for John Madden, so I don't know.
Speaking of the wife, real quick, I have to say this or I'll forget. She's like very supportive. She's there for him. She's like, "Are you okay? Is everything all right? It's gonna be okay. You're gonna do this. You're strong. Yada yada yada. You can do it." She's very supportive the whole time until the first time he like fucks around, and she goes, "Are you all right?" And it's not like, "Are you okay?" It's like, "Are you losing your shit? You gonna do this shit while we're in the fucking air already?" And then she goes back to it, but I did notice she kind of was like, "Whoa, what are you fucking doing?" And I was
Well,
like, "Oh,
could-
there
She's
it
we
like,
could
go."
have
she's
been
doing the
that
Peter
it-
Griffin thing. She's like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Wow.
They might have had the conversation we're having where she's like, oh, she booked a fucking bus ticket home because my husband can't be on planes. And he's like, oh, guess what, honey? I booked us a plane home. And she's like, oh my God, here we go again. And then he's like, no, it's great. She's like, oh yeah, you're doing a great job, honey. We walked to our seat and you haven't freaked out yet. And then the second he sits down, he's like, oh my God, there's a monster. She's like, I fucking know it.
It could have been too that he seemed okay, and all of a sudden he steps back, and she's like, "Oh God, not this again," kind of a deal.
Yeah.
Now I do have a question though. I
Was
do
she
wonder.
there last time?
I don't think so.
No.
Or I don't know. They didn't really say. I felt like because he's like a salesman. I assume a traveling salesman. I got the impression that he was just like on the job and lost his shit.
So he just was on the job selling doors door to door. What the fuck he does?
Some vacuum cleaners,
Vacuum cleaners door to
door to door
door.
on a plane.
Watson or Watkins.
He's on doors door to door. And she just gets a call one day. Hey, your husband freaked out on an airplane, so we're gonna keep him in New Mexico, 3,000 miles away from your house. In 6 months, you can come pick him up if he's not still a psycho. Goodbye.
Isn't that what you do?
I would imagine so.
Sure.
Sure, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was curious. So obviously you saw the gremlin on the wing of the plane. I wonder if that's what caused his freak out the last time too.
Well, not kind of skip ahead real quick. Spoiler for the ending. He opens up the hatch and with a gun and he shoots at the plane or shoots at the gremlin, killing it. The question I have is, do you think it could be construed that he shot the engine block, the door, so he wasn't actually shooting the gremlin? It was actually the bullets hit. Which, I mean, you have to suspend disbelief on what bullets can do 30,000 feet in the air or 20,000 feet in the air. But I mean, it couldn't be construed that the gremlin opening up the little hatch thing, he could have shot it by accident and he's really insane. Isn't that kind of the interesting idea?
I don't think the bullets could have had anything to do with it. I think he could have seen it peel back and imagined a gremlin. But I don't
Maybe the storm did it.
way. Yeah, the storm did it. I don't see a way.
Was it a Boeing?
That he did. I don't. Yeah. Oh, by the way, Boeing's spaceship, they got him into space and they can't get him back because it's Boeing and they're all terrified to get on the return flight. That's a real thing that's happening in real life right now.
I like how he shot the gun hanging out of the side of a plane that didn't rip him
So
out. By the way.
I just like the
He
fact
shot the
that people
gun. The gremlin is here. The gun is here. They're moving it. I don't know.
No.
subsonic
I
tornado.
I do have one question
Bullet
now
went straight. It
that
didn't.
maybe Jacob could answer for us. I know he has the answer totally prepared and doesn't have to panic and look up on Wikipedia for the answer to at all in no way.
Nope.
How would Mr. Rod Serling describe our main character played by William Shatner, star of Star Trek and many other television and movie appearances?
Great question there, Raymond. Great question.
I used a lot of words to do it. I gave you a bunch of
A
time.
lot of words. A lot of words.
Tons of words.
Could have been put in the chat. Just kidding. Okay. Portrait of a Frightened Man. Mr. Robert Wilson, 37, husband, father, and salesman on sick leave. Mr. Wilson has just been discharged from a sanitarium where he spent the last 6 months recovering from a nervous breakdown, the onset of which took place on an evening not dissimilar to this one, on an airliner, very much like the one in which Mr. Wilson is about to be flown home. The difference being that on that evening, half a year ago, Mr. Wilson's flight was terminated by the onslaught of his mental breakdown. Tonight, he's traveling all the way to his appointed destination, which, contrary to Mr. Wilson's plan, happens to be in the darkest corner of the Twilight Zone.
Is this the darkest corner of the Twilight Zone? Some guy imagining a monster on the wing? I think we feel like we've had many darker
Wookiee.
things happen.
There's a Wookiee on the wing.
Better than a clown.
We're season 5. A lot of dark shit's happened at this point.
That's half the fun of it, though. You've gone through everything else. You've kind of seen the basics. Now we're going to see the next level up.
So when we going to talk about the gremlin?
So I had an interesting thought on the gremlin. Like, you look
Got a
at
lot
some of the, there's a very specific dynamic to the way that all of these, like, so you're talking about the masks, you talk about some, like the, even Eye of the Beholder. They all have a very specific aesthetic that kind of follows through. And I'm sure that's because they were all made by the same guy or the same department. You know, they all want to kind of keep them in universe, but I thought that was interesting.
I thought that the introduction of this creature, the gremlin, prior to getting a closer look at it, was really well done and kind of fucking creepy. I was watching it in a very well lit room, so I was kind of like having to squint because it's like real dark. So it worked real well for me. It kind of like comes out of the darkness, and you're like, is that a person? I mean, I know it is, but I'm like, I think I see a silhouette. And I also thought, even though you know what's going to happen, when he goes to reopen the window and it's sitting right there looking at him, that was really fucking creepy. That's a fear of mine looking out windows, though. Anytime I've got like a window that's covered or something, like with blinds or whatever, I open it, I'm expecting something to be staring there, like staring at me, a la Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah.
Are you expecting a floating gremlin?
Do you remember how they handle that in the movie? I haven't watched the movie in a while.
Yes, no, I'm getting to that, but I will say though, the body, the hair, and all that. I mean, it's, you know, what does a gremlin look like before 1984? Who knows? So I didn't have a problem with that so much. Its face though, which I don't think it was a mask. It looked like prosthetics. I could be wrong. Maybe it was a mask. I don't know.
It was a combination, I think.
I mean, it's 1964, so I don't want to like be too hard on it, but scary is not the word I'd use.
Well,
They're going for
remember
scary.
though, it had to be a certain level. Like, you couldn't go too far.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Well,
And we're
I think
definitely
one thing you
jaded.
could actually.
But that is
Well,
one
no,
thing.
I think.
Go ahead,
What?
Nick.
No, I said what I was going to say real quick. I think one of the things that may cause, you know, because Richard Matheson talks about he really hated the creature effect, and one of the things it says in the trivia on IMDb is, according to Donnor, due to the scheduling constraints and technical issues with the simulated weather, airplane engine, and multitude of other special effects challenges, was also one of the show's most difficult shoots. Filming crammed 3 days of work into 2 and demanded extraordinary long hours. So it might be a possibility that they had a much better creature, but they were still under constraint, because this is apparent for a lot of shows in general, but I think Twilight Zone, you could tell they only have like 2 or 3 days, and they have to do it quickly, and sometimes yeah,
That's the
go
thing
ahead.
is I think that for what they had, for a 1964 Twilight Zone episode, knowing what all they had to do and what limited everything that they had to make these episodes, I thought that the special effects and the filmmaking itself here was really good. Like, yes, it's kind of goofy. We look at it now and kind of how it would like float away every time, like spread its arms and kind of like float off into the thing. But it all looked legit. I mean, that looked like the side of a plane. It looked like a creature walking on the side of a plane. Was there not enough wind? Probably, but you know, it was 64. But I will say that, and this isn't a knock against the episode. It's just more of a it's how the times and how things get, technically better. If nothing else, I will say the one thing that the movie did, I hate to say better, just more successful. And it's just because it was what, 20 years later, 64, 74, 84. Yeah,
Yeah,
almost 20
probably a
years.
bigger budget, more time too.
Yeah.
So
The creature in the movie version was fucking terrifying looking. The gremlin monster thing was like, well, yeah, that's fucking unnerving. But I will say I appreciate both. I know I'm comparing these two and this is only about the episode, but I appreciate both performances in both different tones. But I kind of like Shatner's version, like his reactions and how his story plays out in the episode more than I do the actual movie. But the
well, you
creature,
mentioned something about John Lithgow's his manic acting in the episode. I think that George, and you can see this in the like Furiosa and Mad Max Fury Road. You
oh,
can
that's
even
George
see
Miller.
this in like, well, no, yeah, that's what I was saying. You can even see this in like Bay Pig in the City and shit, like Happy Feet. George Miller is not known for his subtlety. He's not known for calmness. He's a guy that likes to like inject you with like heroin or some shit. I don't know what the hell George
Well, he's
Miller.
Indian.
He is
Yeah,
Australian, I guess, or New Zealandish, but
Australian.
he's Australian. Yeah, but he has like this really crazy manic quality to him, which suits him very well. I mean,
He's
obviously
hyper real.
Furiosa, yeah. And here this is more about the psychology of this guy who could or could not be seeing a fucking gremlin on the side of a. I mean, he even talks about warplanes and pilots and stuff like that being called gremlins. And even though you see the gremlin, you could even though it floats away like fucking hot air balloon or whatever, you're never entirely sure if what he's seeing is
Yeah.
true because he had a mental
Yeah.
break. The setup is so well paced and so well put together that when you sit down and think about it, you could be, even though you think you see the gremlin, you could not see the gremlin. It's really interesting to watch it play out.
You also
There
get to
is-
know this character a lot
Yeah.
more. The Lithgow's was just some manic, crazy dude. Not crazy, but
Yeah.
just like he's having
Yeah.
maybe that's the first breakdown. He's having a breakdown on a plane and seeing this stuff.
Done
But
coke.
I never felt like it was even implied on the movie version that the gremlin wasn't there. I know everybody thought it wasn't, but I never even wondered with this one with his because since you get the background and all that, and he doubts himself and everybody else does, you do kind of wonder, even though we know the truth because we've seen the episode already, you kind of wonder that they put that doubt in your head that maybe he is seeing this. And obviously we're seeing it, but that's because he's seeing it. So maybe all this isn't actually happening. And like you said, the thing with the gun, that's a good question. I mean, taking logic out of it, but maybe
he doesn't
did,
know.
maybe he did the
He
damage.
doesn't know either. He never knows whether he's crazy or sane.
Yeah, because
And
he even says
so,
that at one point, look, just tell them, and if it is out there, they can do something about it. If not, I'll put myself back in to a
Yeah.
crazy house.
Yeah.
and they try to like placate him. He realizes what's happening, and he the entire time has a moment of. It's weird to say the entire time he has a moment, but it's what happens. He is never sure what's going on.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I will add
Sorry.
that I'm sorry, go ahead, Raymond.
No, go ahead, Trev.
Oh, I was just gonna say I think that I appreciated the fact that because knowing Shatner, and again, obviously we're talking, Star Trek Shatner versus, just normal Shatner, but like, you talk about the fact he questions it, he kind of reacts the way I feel like most people would react. Like, what is this thing knowing where I've been, what am I seeing? But
Well
he
said.
kind of goes through that checklist of, okay, what is this? What could it be? What, and
It ramps up
yeah.
over time.
And
It's not just
even
No.
when he knows that it's something that's doing damage, he tries to keep it like as level as he can.
keep his composure. Yeah,
Yeah. And I will
I
say
like
the
that more.
gun grab is like hilarious.
Yeah, I like how he sneaks over there.
Oh
Like
no,
he
I
slowly
dropped
sneaks over.
my spoon. Oh no. It's so
It's-
dumb. It's
He's a
Um,
like
shit cop too, by the way.
when I
Right.
now full disclosure, the last time I watched this episode was while we were recording this episode because I had it up in the background.
Actually, you're
while
still watching, aren't you, Raven? You're still in the middle of watching.
It's
Loading.
already cycled into the next episode, which has the
Oh.
most obvious ending of any episode in the history of any television show in the history of the universe.
It's another Tale of Treehouse of Horror episode too.
Oh,
Actually, I don't think it's Treehouse.
okay.
No,
Not every
in all
time.
honesty,
Let me say this to the one person in the universe that's both listening to this podcast and hasn't watched a special kind of stopwatch, or whatever the fucking episode's called. A guy has a stopwatch that can stop time, and he uses it to stop time to mess with people. How does that episode end?
It's like click.
with him having sex with many women. I don't know. It's the basis for
Oh my
Caligula.
gosh, I can't fucking imagine how that episode would end. Like it ends how you think it would end. It's but
Just
I
watch
don't know if the
just watch
Twilight Zone
Clockstoppers.
thing. Yeah, I don't know if it's the Twilight Zone thing that caused it or if it's just not a good episode. But we'll find out.
We'll
next
get to
week.
that. Yeah.
Okay,
No,
sorry.
but the thing is, no, you're fine. I one thing real quick. I actually completely forgot that Richard Matheson wrote Duel, the Steven Spielberg film.
Oh, nice.
is-
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely forgot. Anyways, the what I was gonna say is what makes this episode so great is from the moment he boards the plane, you're already seeing how much of a mess this guy is. Like, you know how Jacob, you talk about all the time, like the setup takes forever sometimes to get going, or it just like lingers. Like that doesn't happen here. They're on the plane from a minute go, and you see how much of a wreck William Shatner's Robert character is, and it
Good character
takes
building.
it takes a lot of restraint to be able to pace that properly, and I feel that it does it really, really well because like his wife is like, are you all right? Are you sure you want to do this? Blah 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 blah. And he's like, yeah, I'm fine. I know I had a nervous breakdown 6 months earlier, on a plane, and she's like, are you sure? He's like, yeah. And they board the plane, and but you could see this is how good William Shatner is in the episode. You could just see his face. He's just like, I'm the same way when like I get on a roller coaster or something like that. When I get on a roller coaster, I'm like, I get like real nervous and I start talking like 600 miles a minute because I'm like, so on and so forth. And like I recognize, and I'm sure you guys have the same thing where you recognize that nervousness in an individual or that fear in an individual, and it's played so very, very well with William Shatner's character and with his wife, who I did laugh at the end of the episode when he's like falling out the window, and then she's just like, nobody's trying to capture him before he falls out the window. It's like, I know they probably get sucked out the plane too or something like that, but it's just funny to watch. But yeah, that's what I most like about the episode, because the fact that he keeps waking up his wife because he keeps seeing a weird creature in a bear suit or whatever is what it is. But I think for the most part, I think William Shatner's performance helps sell why this episode's so good in its own right. So
I think
anyways,
also I like the episode better than the movie's tone because there is like a subtle progression. He doesn't just come out the gate like rah, has to fill in. If you notice, the movie had all this other stuff that it had to fill in the time with, like the little girl and the kids and stuff like that.
But yeah, I agree with you, Jacob, that like focusing in on this, it's a character piece.
Yeah, and I like that about the show better.
It's a character piece, and we don't get a lot of those in Twilight Zone. They like to have an expensive world. And I also want to say, like, this, now that we're a little bit away from the hour longs, they pack so much into this
Yeah.
into
And
this
it's perfectly
22
paced.
minutes.
I think Nate
And
mentioned that.
like they could have, if this was an hour episode, we would have seen him getting carried off the other plane, guys, seen him in an institution, seeing that, and just saying, having not even show it. Rod tells us he got out of a mental institution because he had a mental breakdown. It just happened to be on a plane. We don't know whether it's plane related. We hear his episode. And like, so we don't know what happened. We don't know if this was the best option in the start episode.
Yeah. I love that progression that we had, and also I just like the character moment. We knew this character more. I felt this guy's pain. I kind of like I understood where it was coming from.
Yeah.
Like in the movie version, you understand he's stressed, and I think the movie version has its own positive qualities. And I'm not disparaging it because I like that version too. But when you put the two next to each other, I like this approach more because you get to know this guy. You're telling the same story, just from a slightly different approach. Instead, this one's exploring the man and what he's feeling, what's going on with him. And the other one is just like, it's more exploring the situation. And I thought that I just like this approach more. And I thought Shatner did really good. We talked about how he didn't do the Shatnerism and all that. Because I don't really feel like Triv said, he became, once Star Trek came out, he ceased being William Shatner and became Captain Kirk. But in this one, he talks like a normal person.
But I feel like too that this like he would try and do the normal, and then you'd get the whole Simpsons thing of say the thing, say the thing.
Like this. Bones, oh my God. And he doesn't do it. He just talks like, wow, you can talk normal.
I will say that I think that like when he like shoots the gremlin or shoot and like the kind of like zooms in on his face, the variety of emotions that run through his face feels like what Star Trek becomes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's hanging outside of an airplane. I kind of get that. I
Oh
get
no, I
Well,
100% get
maybe
it.
maybe the shooting, the hanging outside the airplane is what caused him to go. And now, talking to his mannerisms or something like that. No, this episode though, it's really good. It is pretty basic. I mean, it's basically man looks out the window, man wakes up his wife, man looks out the window, man gets stewardess, man looks out window, man gets stewardess, man looks out window, gremlin,
I don't
gremlin,
think so.
gremlin.
Thought, it was more complex than that because it just, while those things are happening on screen, that's all it is. There's a creature on the plane and it goes back and forth. It's really dealing with this guy's, like, as we get that history of him and how he has had these mental issues, and now he's doubting whether what he's seeing is true or not. So he's hoping, oh, I'm cured, but maybe now he's doubting that. And I just thought that there was a lot more of a human element here than, like, say, with the movie. I think the movie was more about the situation, and the episode is more about the man and his mental state.
Yeah,
Craig,
I mean,
where were you on that? Like, do you see it as too much? Do you see it as a picture? Where were you at?
No, I think that I think you definitely, and it's been a hot minute since I've seen the movie, so I think that you have more time to work with, so it does draw out more. But I do think that you get more from what's happening here in that 20 some odd minute stretch than you really do then just shot. But I will say, and this is random, but I found it interesting. He talks about, like, he sees a gremlin out the window, he shuts the curtain, and then you can see him fighting with himself to not open the curtain, but he goes back and opens the curtain again. Now, what would have happened if he, obviously the episode is like anything, like, you don't take that risk, we're not going to have a movie, but it would have been interesting to see him, like, if he hadn't done that, would the plane still have had issues?
Well, that's assuming that it was in his head.
Yeah,
Well,
do you think he like
assuming.
manifests these issues? Like, you could almost think, and I made a joke about Boeing. We talked about Boeing earlier, but you could almost think that window, once he opened up the emergency exit window or whatever, could have damaged that that piece of the plane. I mean, you just don't know. It's one of those things where it's like it's convenient that the gremlin just floats away as soon as everybody comes up, and it's convenient that it's there when he's there because he's the only person that sees it. It's like the boy cried wolf or something like that, and then he sees the wolf and nobody believes him. It's just it's really interesting thing to
There's a lot of it leaves things open for interpretation, and there's a lot of things in the end that still say, even though it shows the plane messed up there where the gremlin was or where he saw it, like you said, it could have been the bullets, it could have been the door, it could have been it could have just had a fuck up.
Could have been a storm.
Like
Could have
unlike
been anything.
the movie, it's pretty clear if you remember how the
that gremlin fucks that plane up in the movie. It's like it's so obvious. Yeah.
I mean, to the point
And
where
they,
I'm like, why didn't I stop the ambulance and be like, no, he's okay, because that's fucked up. But
Well,
Well,
doesn't
that's the
at
other-
one point in the movie isn't there a point where it's struck by lightning as well?
Yeah.
Like in the movie?
Yeah.
I forgot one way or the other.
But
He's
they
like
said
riding
they
that,
even
like,
say
fucking-
that hey, lightning struck one of the engines, but then when it shows the engine when they get on the ground, it's like got claw marks and it's ripped apart, and it clearly wasn't just lightning. But in this one, I feel like they left it a little bit more vague, and I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you can really take it either way. I think that it does probably imply a bit more that he did see something on the side of the plane, but you could have fun with it and be like, maybe he didn't. I mean, that could have happened because it's not just like demolished like in the movie it was.
Yeah, in a movie, they might as well just have the monster sign. The monster was here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
I mean,
never doubted it in the movie. And when the movie was happening, me myself personally, I never doubted that what he was seeing was what was happening. I mean,
because it didn't have the background of this guy,
Exactly.
like slowly, like we said, a caricature man, like this guy not knowing if he's seeing what he's seeing,
that added
and
something
like
to it.
you're with the guy of he doesn't know either, so you don't know. And there is a scene like they bring up the pilot, and the pilot's like, we just didn't want to alarm anybody. And Shatner gets halfway through. Understand? Shit, you think I'm crazy. Like
he's like, no, I don't think you're crazy.
Yeah.
And then he's
We've
like,
seen
you
it
fucking think I'm
before.
crazy.
And then I like how he's shut
halfway
down then,
through-
too.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. He's halfway through, like, oh, maybe I am. Like, you're just placating me. Sorry, Jacob, go ahead.
No, I was just saying I like how the guy did that he was clearly like placating to him and just like patronizing him, and he was just like, I like how they didn't even really say it either. He was just like, no, it's fine, bye, go away. I know you're just fucking patronizing me right now. Get the fuck out of here.
It's funny too because he says, "I'm just gonna let the plane crash."
Yeah, he said,
Yeah.
I won't say shit. I'll just let this motherfucker go down.
Yeah,
in flames."
he treats it like it's fine.
didn't.
I just
didn't say
won't
anything.
say anything.
He
I
shot,
just
how-
won't
how-
say anything.
he shot
many
that
times-
motherfucker.
Well, no, how many times have we done that too, where we complain about something and then people are like,
yeah.
oh, go fuck yourself. Yeah, all right, fuck it. Just let it be.
I
don't
do
give a
that
shit.
shit.
Let this
work
motherfucker burn down then. I don't give a
today.
fuck no more.
From the point of view of the stewardess and the, I guess they have flight engineers back in the day, this guy is off his rocker, obviously. I mean, the gremlin's disappearing. Like, what the fuck are you supposed to do? But we are seeing it from the point of view of Robert, and it's got to be super frustrating. It's got to be to the point where you're just like, what do I fucking do here? It's just, do I keep acting like a crazy person, or do I try to protect my wife, who's clearly not only sleep deprived at this point, but just wanting to protect her husband from having to go back to the insane asylum? He's like, I guess I'll go back if they can't prove it.
Makes so much sense to you. It makes so much sense to your wife / coworker. In this case, wife, but coworker. Like, they know what the fuck you're talking about, and like, you just feel like you're crazy talking to these people that just don't see what you see, don't understand what you're saying, and like they look at the same ticket, they look at the same window, and they're not seeing the same thing.
Why didn't she give him the fucking sleeping pill as soon as they got on the plane or a few minutes before? Just a thought.
Well, didn't she? She gave one to him, but it didn't take.
Well, I mean, she
Like
gave it
later.
to him like halfway through the episode. It's like, what? You know,
But
he's
then
got
they
issues
do
with phone.
another one too, yeah, which he doesn't. He like takes out of his mouth and tosses.
Oh, she gave him
Right?
2.
I thought so.
She's trying to kill his ass.
Also, I love the envelopes of water as compared to a glass.
That seems like some shit they do nowadays, like with the paper straws and stuff.
This is a whole ass paper
Oh.
envelope of water, though. It's like, did they rehydrate the water or what's that about?
Powdered water.
Yeah, powdered water.
Powdered water.
You add water to make water.
Yeah, not the worst thing you could add.
Powdered water man.
Yes, away.
Save us, Nick.
Excuse me.
Save us.
I can't save us. I've already tried to save you guys tonight, and clearly my internet doesn't agree with you. So
Damn.
can we talk about real quick just off
Damn, son.
the picture that's on the Wikipedia page might be the most hilarious picture for an episode I've ever seen because one is you've never seen this
Hold on as
this
we
like
all pull
It looks like he's
up.
in a suit.
right, but the other thing is like the episode the Welcome to Cliffordville or whatever with Julie Newmar is a picture of him on the plane. Newmar's outside the window. I'm like, when did that ever happen? Like it's just a promo still, but it's just like
That
you're
doesn't
right, it
even
looks
look
like
like Shatner, does it?
Because he's going like he looks like constipated. Like he's on the toilet. Like
yeah, and
then
clearly
this monster in
the
a
gremlin
suit.
looks like he's in a suit. It's a
Well,
reflection, but it looks like
he's
he's in a
pulling
suit.
he's pulling a Leonard Nimoy where it's like he's got the high turtleneck and the blazer.
Right.
that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, it looks like he's got a turtleneck and like you get the little pocket.
And it looks like he's like
looks
really confused. He's like, huh?
seeing a boob
He's
for
like, huh?
the first time.
Hey, you
He just
guys.
opens the window. Is like, oh my god, there's a titty out the window.
Yeah,
I should be.
right.
It
Really-
looks like he's about to pull the curtain back, like
You get
he's
the-
seeing something he shouldn't see.
This looks like a meme waiting just for text.
Yes.
Not this
Yeah,
guy.
like
idiot.
the first
God damn
time
it.
you see, like it should be a meme. Like the first time you see a boob.
You're wearing a mock turtleneck and a blazer from the 70s? That's crazy.
Yeah,
Ah,
I'm looking through
face.
Vulture's.
When you realize you're on a plane that's about to be crashed by a gremlin.
Because it doesn't. I mean, if you didn't know what this episode was about, this doesn't even look like a plane window.
No.
It looks
I mean,
like
to be fair,
there's
like
curtains.
like but they had curtains on planes like that back in the day, though.
Yeah, but you
absolutely.
wouldn't
And
know
that's a
in
very 60s thing.
2024. You
Well,
wouldn't know
I mean,
that
clearly,
that's
like,
a curtain.
well, this is true. I mean, 2024 audiences like stuff like Twilight. Do they even like Twilight anymore? They like TikTok and shit. So they don't know about curtains on planes. Are you kidding me? They don't even know what's going on in American history right now. So we'll leave it at that.
Well, did you real quick fun
Yeah.
anecdote or what's the term like for a
Anecdotal?
story from the thing?
Yeah, anecdote.
Yeah.
anecdotal. Yeah.
No, that's I don't think anyway, doesn't matter.
Oh,
Anyway,
yeah.
so in the Twilight Zone
Trividote.
book, sure, we'll go with that. They were talking about how Matheson and Serling were flying to San Francisco and they set up a thing where like they had Matheson sit on the window side and they put like a poster of the gremlin in the window and they had the thing down. So Serling told him to open it up and then it scared the crap out of him.
Nice.
That's not a gremlin.
Oh.
That's just one of the people you find on the street in San Francisco in that picture right there today.
Right. I mean, it was a 60s trip, so who knows what Matheson and Serling were on at the time.
That is true.
The good stuff.
Suave gremlin.
That is the hope.
Right.
That's
But
like anyway, move on.
no, but the thing that's funny is when she goes back to when he asks her to go get somebody to talk to the flight engineer, you never hear them talk. So William Shatner's Robert character goes like assumes they're talking bad about him, that they need to get him off the plane. So it could lead into his mental state of the idea of like the simple fact of like what is he seeing? Because they even say, like, I'm reading this Vulture article while you guys are speaking, just to kind of see if I can find some information. And they talk about how, like, even though we see what he sees, we're never entirely sure what he's seeing is real. So, like, he doesn't hear what they say, but he just automatically assumes that he'd think he's crazy. I mean, maybe they're just asking for some water or something like that. It's just the idea of Robert's mental state is it plays so perfectly into, you know, what we're seeing. Is it real? Is it not? It's what the Twilight Zone does really well a lot of times.
That was what I mean. I've already said it, but I'll just say it again. Overall, I like both, and I can't help but continue to compare it to the movie version. I like the movie version, and I like this one.
I mean, it's
but
no.
I do think this one is superior in the ways that really matter, the story and the characters and all that. I liked this version better. If you took the monster from the 80s version and like inserted it into this one somehow and then made it black and white, this would be a
Oh,
pretty perfect episode.
That'd be
There's
some
probably
good editing. Jacob, make an edit cut of that.
I think you could do
As
it.
you could have the gremlin riding the engine like Doctor Strangelove.
That'd be awesome.
Like Slim
Right.
Pickens.
Yeah.
Woo!
Oh, I guess
Because that
Raymond stepped
gremlin
aside.
in the 84 version or 83 version was, I mean, I don't know how long it's been since you guys saw that. That thing's fucking creepy.
I think the last time I saw was when we talked about the episode. It's see if I can find it. Wait, because I guess Raymond either had to use the restroom or something like that. I was like, Gremlin.
He broke the seal. He broke the seal.
Twilight Zone movie.
That was between season 1 and 2, wasn't it? Or no, it was during Christmas.
Yeah, it was a couple Christmases ago. There's a gremlin right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's writing that shit like Doctor Strangelove, man. Look at that shit, like Slim Pickens. See, the funny part is like it's creepy as shit, but like it also has a touch of humor. Like the gremlin's more
He's more
less
playful.
he's less
Trickster.
intuitive. Right. He's like less because if you notice this, let me
I mean, this one is
If you-
too. Pretty much, he's just fucking with this guy the whole time. Every time he like calls somebody over, it's like, wee, it like takes off like on a flying
But-
squirrel suit.
Right, but this gremlin in the TV show, the TV episode, it doesn't really like look at him very much. It's just more in like wondering what this engine part is, like what can he do to it. The one in the movie is so playful and so silly. I mean, he does like doesn't he do he like bends the gun in half, and doesn't he do like a Three Stooges like poke the eye of like or
You know, he
something like
grabs
that?
him and he comes off and he goes,
Oh, and he goes, yeah,
like
he does
that.
like he does like the Newman thing, the thing
Oh,
from
in
Jurassic Park.
yeah.
But,
Tumbo. No.
Exactly. But this is the
That was a sports
gremlin.
thing, Jacob.
But Raymond, this is the gremlin in if you remember in the movie.
Wow. Just like if you see that, you saw a gremlin.
Yeah.
Like if
They were
you
talking about
saw what Shatner saw, you might be crazy. But if you
Right.
see
Well,
that,
retarded
then
Wookiee.
you're not crazy. You saw it. Like there's no if and there's no secondary conversation like there is
Right.
in this episode. There's no
Um,
like loss of conversation. You know what I mean?
Right. But in
And I
the
don't want
end,
people real quick, I don't want anybody who's listening to think that I'm totally trash talking the monster in this one. It's the 60s, early 60s TV. I get it.
Matheson trash talked the monster. You're allowed to. It's not a very good monster. I mean, it's a
It
guy
is
in a
to
bear
de-
suit with some
I mean,
weird makeup.
Yeah. The face is what does. He looks like, I can't say without getting in trouble what it looks like, but I mean, it's the face. If they had done something maybe less human, an actual full-on mask, even if it looked fake and cheap, I mean, the hairy body thing, it's the 60s, it's whatever, but that face just looks like, I mean, every time I see it, I hear, "Duh-duh-duh," that's just what I hear, or hey, you guys. And I mean, if they had a little bit more menacing face, I think a little bit better. However, the way they framed it, the way Richard Donner shot it, like the rest of this episode, I thought was great. Like it was coming out of the darkness, and when I mean, it all looked really good. And I thought,
Yeah, you only see the face like
a few times
in
really.
the face. And it's the only time you're supposed to really be caring is open the shade. Ah, and then
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
when it's
mean,
far away, it's not that big. a
after
deal.
that, it's just a monster.
It kind of pulls a jump scare on that bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the funny thing is they only shot 2 days. It was supposed to be 3 days shoot, and they shot 2 days, and they were able to produce a classic episode. And that's always the best part about that you hear about productions, like you hear about Home Alone and Back to the Future, Ghostbusters, how quickly those shoots went, and they're considered like classic movies. So I think when people were put under pressure and when people were put under a lot of they have to work under, like I said, extreme pressure.
Gotta get creative.
I think they produce Jaws. Jaws is another perfect
I
example.
was going to say that
Damn
too.
Shark didn't work.
Mhm.
Don't show it.
So
First perspective.
What's that?
First person. Yeah, they didn't instead go to a first person and show less of the shark.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, if the movie did not exist, if this was the only Nightmare at 20,000
Mm.
feet version we had, I'd probably laugh about the face a little bit, but I probably wouldn't have harped on it nearly as much. But I have seen this done with a far superior monster, and I know there's no way in 1964 they could have done that.
Yeah.
The
I mean, to be
84.
fair, I'm sure the movie was they probably had like a good house, like effects house doing the work for him. Here, I'm sure they found
It's
a
all
costume on the
practical.
lot.
I
Well, that's
mean,
true. That's what
there
I was
was
saying.
still
Like
been
it could have been like,
FX house, but I mean, it was all practical stuff. But yeah, when you compare the two, there just is no comparison there. But I mean, they had 20 friggin' years and a bit of a technical revolution. So I mean,
Do we
makes
know
sense.
the time difference between the movie version, that segment,
20,
and
19 years.
do we know how long the movie segment was?
it's like a half hour.
Is
So
it
it's
half
about the
hour?
same. It's about the same length as because the movie's like an hour and 50 minutes or whatever. So it's about the same length for each segment.
Because I think this episode we talked about time a lot because we just came off of 15-minute episodes. And I think this episode did such a great job at time management.
Yeah, I mean,
Pacing?
it did better than apparently
Fantastic.
Steel last week. So
I blame Jacob for that, for noticing faults in the episode.
Let's see.
But
The movie
anyways,
version started at an hour and 13 minutes, and that version ended at there's Dan Aykroyd. Not counting the last little part there. Yeah, he fucked that plane up. It ended at 135, 134.
so 22 minutes, the exact same length.
That doesn't include the part where he's in the ambulance. I cut that out because that's kind of its own little segment.
So the
Yeah.
exact same length then.
More or less, yeah.
Well, and you think too, like being that you've got the two versions, you do kind of have to take it in different directions. Even, I mean, it's no different now than it was if you were, adapting something now that was done 20 some odd years ago.
Yeah.
You want to make it your own, and you increase the technology where it works, and
Well, I
you say,
think
okay.
both of them have their strengths. Like, I
Oh, yeah.
like that we have a different take where it's just this from the onslaught, this manic guy. And there's something about that I like. The energy that George Miller brought to that was unparalleled. This one is a bit of a lower energy until it isn't. But I mean, when comparing the two just story wise, I always like character. I mean, if it makes sense, but I like having more character and understanding the characters. John Lithgow's character is just some dude. This is a guy that you get backstory on, you get it. And it's odd that it's in the same amount of time too. But like I said earlier, with the Miller version, if you notice, they had like all these other characters in that one too that are not in this one because they had to use them to make up for the time that they were giving him backstory in this one.
yeah, they had the little girl from Cloak and Dagger in that segment. She's the one with the clown or the puppy or the dog or whatever.
And the people started calling
So,
him names and like
yeah,
all that stuff that did not happen in this one. I don't think you see any of the other passengers in this one.
You do, but there's no interaction. They're just kind
Yeah.
of set dressing.
Yeah, like background extras.
They could have been
they're-
fucking mannequins and it wouldn't have been any different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See the worst
right.
cop ever.
Yeah, most of the time they're sleeping. So, but anyways, to kind of because we're running late and mostly my fault, but
Gosh.
we get to the point where he decides he's going to take it upon himself. So he goes and steals apparently a cop's gun. As Triv alluded to earlier, very sneakily, he like sneaks over, just like at no point does the cop is the cop asleep? I mean, who knows? But he takes a gun and then he's like, "Oh, hey,
It's
wife."
hilarious, Nick. You can't just. He lives like, oh no, drop my cigarettes. Oh no, dropped
Let
them
me
again.
unsnap and remove this pistol from this.
He's
Yeah,
just
the
like,
cop never see it. It's hilarious, but it's like I didn't know if they were going to pull it because they do it. He like takes a gun from the air marshal in the movie version.
Yeah, but that's
But
during
it's
like a
just how
fight, like a struggle. That that made
No.
more sense, honestly.
Yeah, he sends his wife to go get him some water or something like that because he's like, I need some water. And he just slowly, like, apparently on planes back in the 60s, you had to like tear off the latch like a bottle of milk or something, the cap on a milk. And he just presses it and he flies out the window and his wife goes, "Ah," and everybody goes, "Ah," and he's like, "Shoot, shoot, shoot, shoot." And the gremlin shot dead and apparently disappears, or maybe he shot his insanity out of the way. I don't know. But
Well,
it has
the guy that played the gremlin was attached to wires, and the whole rig was set up above a pool of water
Oh,
to
yeah.
deal with the rain and such.
Makes sense. Makes sense. But of course, we have the scene where he's being dragged down on a gurney because they can do that. They can get him on a plane and then carry it down. And we don't get like the the Lithgow laughing. He just like kind of looks up and it was true, wasn't it? And then certainly talks, and then we see the plane. It has the metal pulled up or whatever, so it leaves in doubt like whether what he saw was real or whether it was part of the storm. That's the other thing that I want to mention. Having this segment or this episode set during a storm allows that finality to have two different meanings, whether he saw the gremlin or whether he didn't. Because if you think about it, if it's like a normal flight, you could kind of boil it down to that it was a gremlin, but because it was storms and it's lightning, it's raining. I mean, like as Jacob alluded to earlier, maybe in the movie version, the storm caused the engine to explode or whatever. You just don't know. So setting during a storm is actually quite clever. It actually helps.
I want to say that gremlin, when this came out, was a term like
It was starting World War II.
yeah, World War II. If you've seen the movie Gremlins, they explain to you that problems in machines, especially planes, anything that like a repetitious problem was called a gremlin. Like this plane has gremlins, the sheet metal comes back, or the landing gear falls wrong, or if you're in a Jeep, the battery breaks. These machines during World War II, and we're in what, 56 at this point? Everyone would have been using that terminology that machines have gremlins. They have reoccurring problems that you need to be aware of. And so that's kind of where that term comes from, based on my knowledge of watching the movie Gremlins about 400 times.
Well, I mean, who doesn't? It's a childhood staple of all of ours.
Absolutely.
I've got that.
Did you guys have anything
everything.
else? Right. It's funny too because Gremlins, like the actual term, and then what Joe Dante did with Chris Columbus is it just like your perception of, as Raymond alluded to, your perception of Gremlins is way different now. They're like Gizmo and the little green creatures that had a much harder R rating, which I still want to see that version of Gremlins, the person in the popcorn machine or whatever.
Maybe one day. Release the Dante cut.
You just want to see Phoebe Cates' dad and die in a chimney.
I know.
Now,
I
who
do.
doesn't want to see Phoebe Cates? I like Phoebe Cates, even though she's married to Kevin Kline. But anybody else have anything else you want to say before we finish out the episode?
Good episode.
Very good.
Great episode. There's a reason it is remembered so fondly.
Yes,
And parodied so consistently.
It
As I
is.
said when we started, it's the reason why, 60 years later, when you tell people, hey, I'm talking about Twilight Zone, they say, hey, wasn't William Shatner on that? And it's people that are barely old enough to know who William Shatner is are talking about this episode of a show they haven't seen. Like,
It is quintessential
Yep.
Twilight Zone.
Absolutely.
All I can say
now,
is Nightmare
Jacob,
20,000
you
feet
do
in the
know
house.
that you have to do 20,000 feet in the house. And Jacob, you do know you have to do that voice when you read the ending narration now, right?
Yep.
Wait, what?
I would like Mr. Jacob to, when he does our ending narration, to do his best possible William Shatner impersonation, if he would.
Wow.
Oh Lord, that's terrible.
So,
I'm not good with those. It's like my Christmas.
Jacob, if you do that, I might have to kick it. No, I'm just kidding. No, but yeah, I'll leave it at this. Nightmare 20,000 feet, whether it hits our top 10 or not, I think if you want to watch quintessential Twilight Zone, if you want to watch what makes the Twilight Zone special, I think this is the perfect episode. This is one of the pantheon of like how you structure an episode, how you pace an episode, and though the effects are left to be wanting, I think it does a pretty competent job because Twilight Zone's always been that thing about the way the human mind works, and when we get to a point of like our stress collapsing on us, that it can be, as I've learned from stress and anxiety, it's a pretty powerful thing, and I think that Richard Matheson knew it pretty well. You saw in like I Am Legend and stuff like that. He knew how to get into the hearts of a human being, and that's what it does here. That's where I'll leave it at. So
Cockles of their hearts.
cockles of the heart, cockles of the soul, the cockles of the house.
I used that word with my wife the other day. I said the cockles of my heart. She told me to never say that again.
That means you need to double down hardcore.
You're never gonna get
I'm
an
gonna
eighth
double down
kid
the
that
cockles
way,
right now.
Jacob. Or however
You're
many
right.
reps
Double
it is.
down on the cockles.
Yeah.
okay.
Anyways,
No, not cockles.
Jacob, Jacob, hit us up with the closing narration.
Oh shit! I hit stuff on my keyboard with my mic.
No.
Oh my god.
The flight of Mr. Robert Wilson has ended now.
Nice.
A flight not only from point A to B, but also from the fear of reoccurring mental breakdown. Mr. Wilson has that fear no longer. Though, for the moment, he is, as he said, alone in this assurance. Happily, his conviction will not remain isolated too much longer. For happily, tangible manifestation is very often left as evidence of trespass, even from so intangible a quarter as the Twilight Zone.
Interesting read.
Okay, that
I
was
told
my
you my
fault.
William Shatner impression was not good.
That
It's
was
okay.
all my fault. I accept all responsibility.
You're
You
canceled,
should.
Raymond. Canceled.
Oh, yeah,
All
by
I can
the
say
way,
is-
while he's saying that, there's a close up of a pulled up panel on the wing. So that's how the episode ends. We didn't say that. part.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
like we've said a million times, if you're listening to this podcast and don't watch the Twilight Zone, that's really weird.
But anyways, Jacob, as I learned from The Simpsons, you tried and you failed. Lesson learned: never try.
That's only your worst William Shatner impression to this date.
Today.
Who the hell
Yeah.
knows how bad they're going to be down the road?
Now
It was
I will
my
need to
fault. I told
practice
him to do it.
that, and my what's the other guy with the weird cadence? Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
So bad at it.
From point A.
I want to
point
be
B.
good. I want to do a good Walken. Just can't.
All right. So let's do it. Let's get into our last segment, which is the Twilight Zone ranking list, the greatest ranking list ever known by 20,000 feet of people. Don't know what I meant by that. Anyways, I sent you guys a list, so you should have it.
Got it.
You wanna
I'm
know
going
where
to
it
start
fell?
out.
Do you want to know where it fell?
Oh
with,
yeah.
Paste
Go
and
ahead.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Let's go, Chris.
No, that's okay. 2 on IMDb and 5 on Paste.
2 on IMDb, so it's better than the Invaders.
209.
What's
Wait, what?
one
No,
on
no, no.
IMDb?
No, it's number 2 on IMDb.
Oh, I thought you said 209. I was like, there's
No,
only
no.
156 episodes.
No, and 5 on
Oh,
Paste.
2 and 5.
2 and 5.
Yeah,
What's
number 2.
one
I'm
on
assuming 'cause there's a-
IMDb?
No, it's
Probably
not.
Eye of the
It's
Beholder.
2.
I
Eye of
don't
the
think it's
Beholder
number
is number 1.
2.
I'd be holding.
I don't think it's number 2.
Yeah,
but I
I'm
think this
assuming
is top 10.
because well, no, I think it's top number 2 because it's 9.0 on IMDb. So it's like one of the highest ranked episodes actually on IMDb, believe it or not.
I think a lot of that has to do with popular. IMDb, a lot of it is popularity, which popularity
well, true.
Well, it's
has to
based
do
off
with
of
likes.
reviews.
But yeah, it's reviews and how popular.
But people
how much it's
don't.
consumed.
When's the last time anyone? I mean, just grab a random episode. Anyone's gone on IMDb and been like, "Well, I really got put up a review for Dust." Like,
Well, the fair amount of them do have reviews. I'm sure if you're going through, it's like Letterboxd. Before Letterboxd was really quite a big thing. I mean, look at Dan, TYTD. He goes through
Yeah.
every single thing he watches and writes a relative review. I think if someone is learning these things, they want to keep track of where they were at and how they
True.
felt about these things. So they probably do all of the episodes over the course of time. I mean,
Or maybe
even some of the
Dan's just
bad
a
ones.
psychopath.
No, well, he is, but that's besides the point.
Do we
But
all-
what I'm saying is that even the worst episodes have at least 10, 12 reviews. So it's not
Yeah,
like it's an
true.
uncommon thing.
Do we all think this is the top 10?
I'd say.
I think this is I put this below.
do.
I put this above Obsolete Man, under To Serve Man.
So yeah, we are. Okay, so we're looking at 10.
That's where I would put it, but that's just me. So you guys,
So Nick is saying number 7.
I think it should go between Death's Head and Monsters.
you
I
would.
mean,
I
Triv.
know Nick is a big Death's Head fan.
No, he's
And
a
Monsters.
big Monsters.
He's a bigger
fan.
monster.
Yeah.
He's also a big.
He's a Lady Gaga fan.
That's like Nick's two, like, pillar episodes or Death's Head and Monsters.
You have to be unrelenting in this game.
Yes. No,
I'm just saying. I'm
I
just
could
saying that's because I think I'm not doing it because I love monsters. I think To Serve Man is a better episode. I think Obsolete Man is one of my favorite episodes, but I think this episode is better on the perspective of like what it's doing. Because the Obsolete Man, I think it's a perfect episode, but I just think this one's it has that touch that not a lot of Twilight Zone episodes have.
To serve the obsolete man
I think
Exactly.
To Serve Man
in the house.
weighs a lot on the ending if you want to give it any negative.
It has the door that Jacob so loves.
Obsolete
Nan
Man's
Adams.
such a good episode.
No, yeah. I mean, Nan Adams is the gremlin in this episode. You didn't know?
100%. Yeah.
That?
Well, if you had a colorized version of this, that the monster would actually be all blonde fur.
Maybe. Where'd you say, Raymond?
I'm saying that I'm going the new 6. I'm saying To Serve Man, the ending is the part people remember, and the build up in this deserves credit. So
point, yeah.
I'm at 6, but
I don't know if I get where you're going. The only problem is like I think To Serve Man is just the lead up and the build up is actually really good, but I don't know.
It's not a. I don't think it's
we're
a
like
from the
we're
sun situation.
I know, but we're splitting hairs here, so we gotta come up with something negative.
Well, the other thing is though too that we're
By
talking
any
top 10, so that's gonna weigh in a different way than if it was like in the mid 50s.
I'm with Raymond. I mean, I don't think that To Serve Man is, because a moment ago I was struggling with To Serve Man. I was like, but I don't think it's like a third from the sun situation. Is that what it was called?
Yeah.
Where like the whole episode was whatever, and then the end is just like, wow, mind blown.
No,
I think it does
Third
have a
from the
mind blown
Sun.
ending.
No, wasn't Third from the
But
Sun.
I think the episode itself, like Nick said, is stronger than that. But I do admit that the ending is kind of like the thing everybody remembers about To Serve Man. It's a great ending. It's a great episode.
People remember just that person
It's a
yelling,
cookbook.
"It's a cookbook."
Yeah, because that was like the big oh shit. Okay, so it's my turn.
So yeah, I'm at 6. Nick, where were you at?
7.
7.
Nick's at 7. Triv.
So I definitely don't think it's top 5, but I keep going back to Shatner's performance.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because he does. I mean, it's not a one-man show, but it is kind of a one-man show. Like it's him that's driving this. He's been the thing that we've talked about as far as like the way he's able to like kind of fall into that pit.
That's a good one. That's who you bought tickets for.
Yeah, well, of course. I mean,
Like-
he's the name, but I'm saying even everyone else in mind, like you have the accompanying characters and they're great, but you could poo-poo them away, and you could have like a black box theater with just him. And by and large,
I guess I would put it below To Serve Man because I feel like a lot of the characters, there's a lot more character development in like the ones that the whole idea of like what's going on in To Serve Man is quite interesting to watch because you have these aliens who come down, but you also have other characters reacting. Here it's just like a one-man show, which I guess is fine. I don't know. I'm in the end, it's basically a one one line ranking difference between what I think and what you guys think. So
It sure
if you
does have
guys
a
wanted
point
above, what's
about
that?
the top 10 holding a different weight.
So if you guys wanted above to serve man, that's fine. If you want to go where I go, I at this point, like we're talking about top 10. So yeah, like you said, it's
So we're talking 6, 7, 8 with me,
Mhm.
Nick, Jacob.
I didn't say where I was
Triv.
going, where I would put it yet.
Right.
Okay, well, go ahead, Jacob.
number 2, right? Number 2. Oh, you
Number
I
39,
mean,
right?
I thought of that, but I
to be
wouldn't.
fair, Jacob's getting his wish for new number 40. So
Yeah.
Right? I already thought of that too. That's coming at the end. Okay, so when doing this, I put there's a lot of different reasons as to where I rank things. You know, how good the episode is, all that. We've already explained all that. I think it was a fantastic episode. I think the performances were really good. I thought the character building was great. And I thought, and we have a case study here because we have the movie where it didn't do that. So we see what happens when you don't do that and you take a different approach. And I think that the approach of the character building and the background and all that added a tremendous amount to it. You got to know the person. All that being said, the final question I always ask myself is when I'm trying to rank these in a certain spot, which gets hairy in some places, but it's a little bit easier here in the top 10 because there's less to worry about, is which one would I watch again? Which one would I pick? If it was, hey, it's a Saturday afternoon, you're going to watch Twilight Zone. Out of these 2 episodes, which would you watch? And my first instinct is to say number 4 because I'd watch The Shelter over this, but I'd watch this over Death's Head Revisited. But then there's Monsters Are Due on Maple Street, which I think is a really fascinating episode. So I'm not really sure between these 2 which of those I would pick first. I kind of want to lean towards Monsters. It's got a lot of stuff going on. But I do definitely
Monsters
know.
was redid in 2001 that you can change who the observer is and change it to the community, to the current climate of the world.
Hmm.
Change it from aliens to terrorists to government to whatever.
Right, we get
So you can change 5 to fit what world you're living in or thinking of.
Well, if you want to be honest about that, you could do that with a lot of these, honestly.
But there's like a absolute observer in 5.
If Death's Head and Monsters Are Due were flipped, which in my personal opinion, I think they should be. I think Monsters should be 4 and Death's Head should be 5. I would say this is the new number 5. I want to lean more towards watching Monsters Are Due on Maple Street over this if presented with both of them. But Death's Head Revisited, I didn't hate the episode. I know we talk about that sometimes. I didn't, but I did not love it as much as you guys did. I don't think it has a place this high. So I would definitely watch it over that. So that's where I'm at. I'm at like the 4 or 5 area.
I'm a 6.
Or I guess I'm 4, 5, 6.
I'm at 7. So Trev, you're tiebreaker. What do you think?
Trev, where you at?
Is it bad if I split the difference and say 6? Because I
think you think.
No,
Just
I am. That's what I'm fucking saying.
I'm okay with that.
To this, I would say just because of the strength of the performance. I think Monsters is a better
It's a better watch.
A better watch just because of it does tell a more interesting story. It does that and The Shelter both. Like you could put those anywhere in time and call it good. I love Death's Head just because it is a story. And again, I think it's one that is timeless in what it does. This one is excellent. But it's more of a personal fear thing than
Shelter
what you get.
And Monsters have more characters, more thoughts, more
right
things.
Yeah.
Well,
more
and they're
moving
bigger
parts.
scope. They're just bigger scope. Like this one.
I think this and Monsters both have character developing, but what I think Monsters has over this is its concept is more thought out as well and deeper. And this one, the character development is deep, but the concept is kind of just there to complement the character and the character development because it is all about
and again,
him. Monsters, I think
would
have both.
Yeah. Well, and again, I would say with this one, it is more of a personal story. It's one guy dealing with, okay, am I seeing what I'm seeing? I know what I've been through and how that, that logic versus emotion comes into play a lot.
Monsters got layers like an onion.
Yeah. Or a cake.
I'm cool with
onion cake.
Or a parfait.
Or a parfait.
Onion parfait.
You like a parfait? I like a parfait.
As long as it's not pineapple on pizza, we'll be good to go.
Oh, for God's sake!
Anyways,
this guy again. I can't.
I know, right?
anyways,
Cheese and peanut butter, baby.
I'm gonna order you a pineapple pizza and send it to your house.
Yeah, you know what I'll do? I'll throw it away. I'll throw it on the ground. And I threw it on the ground. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I like I said, I would put it at number 7, but I'm not gonna split hairs here. It's just we're talking about a top 10 episode at this point. I think we can all agree that the top 10, still ironically walking distance is in the top 10 for right now, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, I think that's perfect. So with that said, for our rankings, new number 6 is Nightmare at 20,000 feet. And number 1 is still Eye of the Beholder. Number 123 is The Trouble with Templeton. Next
99. Well, now 100 is A Piano in
The House.
Oh man, good times. Have I? As Jacob has an aneurysm.
Still going. He's like the Energizer Bunny.
Jacob, are you actually still saying The House, or are you just like going?
It's
James literally
supersonic.
gonna
I
pass
can't
out.
hear it.
And number 40 is
Hang on.
No, for sure.
Perchance to Dream.
Perchance?
Perchance
Dream of the
the
House?
penis stretcher.
To be bored out of your fucking mind.
Oh, shush.
Perchance the penis stretcher.
There you go. Anyway, so now that they got that out of their system,
Penis
the
stretcher.
next
Or is
episode.
it penis stretcher to dream?
To serve an obsolete
unclear.
penis stretcher in the house.
Well, that was certainly interesting.
To the
Penis
grave.
stretchers at 20,000 feet.
Oh, good lord. Here we go.
Anyways, let's try and get out of here.
Sounds like
So
a
with that
party.
said, the next episode, of course, is a kind of stopwatch. Season 5, episode 4, directed by
No,
John
explain
Rich.
what it is. It's not a, it's
a
not
kind of
a kind of.
stopwatch.
For God's
It's a
sake,
kind of
man,
stop-
be more specific. What is it?
5 characters.
It's a watch that kind of stops.
Is it a
Anyways,
stopwatch in the house?
Oh god, it's a kind of in the house, kind of
purple
the
I'm
house.
very busy next
house
week,
of stopwatch.
not just because the episode sucks, but also because my
Little
family.
girl penis
What do you mean
stretcher.
it sucks? I
Oh,
like
for
a kind of
God's
stopwatch.
sake.
Anyways, the episode
The
stars
obsolete
Richard
penis
Erdman.
stretcher.
Oh Jesus! Christ. The episode stars Richard Erdman, Herbie Faye, and Leon Belasco. So we'll look forward to that. We may have a guest host on that as well. Just depends on scheduling next week, of course. Anyway, when this episode airs, by the way, happy 4th of July if you're American, stuff like that, because it is coming up. It'll be the week that this posts, but it depends on availability. So we'll look forward to that. Anyways,
British vote because their voting day
Oh yeah, that's right.
are 4th of July for some reason.
oh yeah,
Don't know if you're
Dan,
British.
good luck. Your country may burn in the process, so good luck with that.
If you're British,
Um,
happy defeat day.
If you're American, happy World Apocalypse Day. Anyways, with that said, we're gonna head out. Raymond, of course, as always, thank you so much for coming on. You're always a fun to listen to. You have many thoughts and theories and whatever else you do. I don't know at this point, but
That sounds
You
like
have-
you're never going to invite me again. But that's okay. Goodbye.
I mean, we'll invite you on the Black Leather Jackets. We'll invite you to that episode.
Oh, shit.
Or the Bewitching Pool. We're gonna have everybody on for the Bewitching Pool. We'll figure it out. Like I said, you
Most
came on
unusual
last
penis
minute,
stretcher.
so oh Jesus Christ. Anyways, Raymond in the house. Where can they find your content?
On Twitter, refuse to call it X, Raymond H. Smith, YouTube, RHS 1984, some nonsense. I don't know. It's probably down in the fucking clickers. On Twitter, I mostly complain about pro wrestling, so that's always good.
That's good to be consistent.
I mostly either
brother.
complain about pro wrestling or call Elon Musk an asshole on a platform that he owns. That should turn out great.
Exactly. So yeah, that's Raymond. Triv, your content is always quite good. You've been actually on a roll recently. I know you take time off sometimes because you're busy, but you actually post videos that I don't even realize you're posting until like an hour later because you just do such good stuff. And
I'm sneaky,
feel-
sir.
yes, you are sneaky. Next thing you know, I'll find you on the
Kinky
elevator
eyes.
with exactly. Anyways,
I mean, I
your
covered
content
the
is
lift. I mean, that's quite the
Wee
elevator.
beady eyes.
right. But anyways, your content is fantastic. Where's that at?
You can find me here on YouTube, Trivial Theater. I put out Scream Queen with Linnea Quigley here recently. Up next is the start of Riffstravaganza, which is PSA riffing with a whole bunch of awesome creators. Hopefully I'll be able to crank a couple of those here over the next couple of weeks, and then they'll kind of continue through next March on and off as people come up. Yeah, stop by, say hi. I think that's about it. So
Awesome. Jacob, I think
Yeah.
you have content coming. You say you have content coming. When's that content coming? Is it coming? How much time is it?
how
gonna
hard
be
is
before
it
comes?
coming?
Yeah, is it coming hard?
What's the quantity of your coming?
On Pornhub. YouTube, Retro JakeXY. That's my channel. Go check it out. Got some stuff over there you might enjoy. Put a lot of hard work into it. I do have 2 videos that are done, and I'm just slowly putting them together. I'm hoping that at least one, well, 2 of them I'm working on at the same time. Hopefully they'll be out shortly. I think I say that every week, but it'll be out when it's done.
Best way to look at it.
Be out when it's done, motherfucker.
Yeah, business itch. Soon, though.
Motherclucker.
It's
Ooh.
approaching the end. Well,
It is the
being complete. It's
end,
approaching
my
completion.
friend.
I'm approaching climax.
There you go.
Goodbye.
With that said, I am at Movie Emporium. I have content there. I just finished up Dead Matter, Dark Matter, I think it is.
Dead Matter.
We'll shortly be Dead Matter. We'll
A
shortly be
movie
starting.
so good he can't remember the name of.
Exactly. I might have a review for Beverly Hills Cop. I know I have Snowpiercer coming up and Cobra Kai coming up, but as of right now, I don't know exactly what I'm going to be reviewing because it's kind of a in between. So look forward to that. But without further ado, we're going to get the hell out of here. It's like 8 o'clock in the morning at this point because we've been talking forever. So for myself, Triv, Jacob, and Raymond, we'll see you guys next time in the Twilight Zone. Peace out. Grandma on the plane. Yeah.
Why do you like? How do you know if you've shit early? That just seems like a weird.
He's a
thing to
master
say.
of planning.
Triv, have you never seen? Have you
Is it
ever
like
heard of
a
a thing called the
coffee
Pens?
enema? Like, do you have to like bring that into it?
No, I stick a tube up
Do you
there. and have it
caffeinate
vacuum
your
cleaner.
ass?
Yeah, I stick a tube up
We
my
are
ass
going
and have
way further down this rabbit hole than I
vacuum
thought.
Do you use espresso?
Yes,
Is there coffee creamer in there?
yes, I use a cappuccino maker.
Energy drink.
God, I don't even want to think about the
Okay.
foam.
By the way, so this is the last thing I'll say before we continue. I told Triv. Anyways, I told Jesus Christ.